remembers when we talked in Mystery Science about climate? Does this map look familiar?
Yes.
Because we know that there are different climate zones throughout the world, right?
Yeah.
We live in this orange zone, and who remembers what that is called? Grayson.
It's kind of like the temperate zone, so like.
That's almost exactly right. The temperate zone. And do you remember what that means?
Yeah, it's like it sometimes can get hot, like really hot, and it can also get really cold.
Yeah, and there's 4 seasons, right? We have summer, fall, winter, spring. What do we know about these 2 areas at the top and bottom of our Earth that are blue? Gosh, lots of great hands in the air. Abby, what do you think?
They're like the really, really cold ones.
Really, really cold. Okay, now that you know that, we're going to start our reading lesson with a mini lesson from Mystery Science to kind of refresh your memory about this topic.
Hi, it's Doug. It's wintertime here in California, and it just never gets that cold. But I have with me here a chunk of dry ice. Now this stuff is cold. The reason I have to wear gloves is because this is so cold, if I were to touch it, I would instantly get frostbite. Someone named Valeria has a question about the cold. Let's give her a call now.
Hi, Doug.
Hi, Valeria.
I have a question for you. What's the coldest place on Earth?
That's a great question. Before I say anything more, think about the coldest weather you've ever experienced. What was it like?
All right, heads together at your tables. Talk about it.
The coldest I had was I was in Leavenworth, and it was somewhere else. I don't remember, but the snow got so high it was like up to here.
So my coldest was in 2017. We went to like this place. There's like shops and other stuff, and we went sledding, and it was really cold there.
Like half of America, and it's during the winter. It's
We were talking about mostly just like it was like really, really cold. People couldn't stay out there really long, and like it was hard to find food and live there.
Oh, thank you. Nice job. Okay, I heard lots of great discussion. I'm going to say orange table number 3. Tell me something that you discussed at your table. He built a snow map? Ramp. Oh, where you could take a sled?
And I was in my shorts and I flew down in the snow.
Do you remember, Addison, where Rennell said he was?
I think he said he was at
Leavenworth. Did he use any great adjectives to describe how the cold felt?
He felt like he was going to die.
Oh, okay. Well, that was that cold. Wow. All right. How about blue table number 2?
Next week, I discussed, and me and Rocco both had some pretty good ones. And I said Minnesota. They get a lot of snow. Then Rocco said Alaska.
Okay.
And Zoe, what did she say again? Oregon. She said Oregon.
Yeah. Thanks for including everyone at your table. Did you guys hear any or say any really good adjectives that describe the cold?
I said in Minnesota it can get up to like 4 feet.
4 feet deep with snow?
Yeah, and Rocco said it's like so cold that like you feel like you have frostbite.
Ooh,
Yeah, like your
your whole body feels cold. Okay, good discussion. Hands down, let's move on.
Well, for me personally, I grew up near Chicago, where I experienced some pretty cold winters. But that was nothing compared to what my niece and nephew experienced. They live in Yellowknife, a town in far northern Canada. And in winter, temperatures there get as cold as minus 40 degrees. It's hard to even imagine what that's like, so let me give you a sense of it. Here's a video of me when I visited there. The snow is so deep that if you run and jump into it, you sink way down. Even more amazing, watch what happens as someone tosses a cup of hot water into the air. Whoa, do you see that? Some of it instantly turns to snow. When I visited, I even got to ride on a huge slide made of ice, located inside of a snow castle. In places this cold, you can even drive a car on a frozen lake, because the ice is that thick. Still, northern Canada isn't the coldest place on Earth. So what is then? Is it on top of the tallest mountain? Maybe the North Pole? Don't forget about the South Pole too. Which is it? Well, the real question is, how do we know? How do scientists figure this out? We could visit lots of these places and just try to decide based on how it feels to us. But once things get really cold, it all just kind of seems the same. We need some way to measure how cold it is, and that's where the thermometer comes in. These days, we have digital thermometers that tell us the temperature outside, like on this phone, or like ones you see on signs. But since you can't see inside one of these digital thermometers, it's hard to understand how a thermometer works. It's easier if we have a look at an old school thermometer, one like this. A few hundred years ago, someone noticed that if you take a thin, hollow glass tube and you fill it partway with liquid, then suck all the air out of the top of the tube, the liquid will actually rise up or down in the tube depending on how warm or cold you get the tube. If the tube gets warmed up, the liquid rises. If the tube gets cooled down, the liquid goes down. A few different people had the brilliant idea to add numbers along the side of the tube so that we could have a way to measure how warm or cold something is. These numbers are what we mean when we talk about degrees. Most of the world uses a temperature scale invented by a scientist named Anders Celsius. The Celsius scale uses the freezing point of water as its 0 degree mark. So in other words, when it starts to get cold enough that liquid water becomes solid ice, that's 0 degrees Celsius. Anything colder than that is a minus or negative temperature, like minus 40. By comparison, the warmer the weather is, the more the temperature goes above 0. On the Celsius scale, the 100 degree mark is the temperature at which water starts to boil. So basically the temperature of water on a stove. Before the thermometer was invented, no one really knew where the coldest place on Earth was. But once it was invented, scientists and explorers could start taking measurements of temperatures all over the world. And now we know exactly where the coldest place in the world is. It's probably not going to surprise you that both the North and the South Pole are very cold. But what might surprise you is that it's actually colder at the South Pole than it is at the North Pole. In wintertime, the North Pole is usually around minus 35 degrees Celsius. But the South Pole? Temperatures in winter are often around minus 60 degrees. And the record all-time coldest temperature ever recorded reached almost minus 90 degrees Celsius. That's 4 times colder than it even gets inside your freezer. It's not obvious why the South Pole would be colder than the North Pole, until you consider that the North Pole is located on basically a low, frozen section of the Arctic Ocean, whereas the South Pole is on top of a giant ice sheet more than a mile thick. So the South Pole is at a higher elevation, and high elevation places, like mountaintops, are always colder than low places. So in summary, the South Pole is the coldest place on Earth. We know this thanks to thermometers that have been placed there by explorers and scientists. That's all for this week's question. Thanks, Valeria, for asking it.
All right. How many of you learned something new today from Mystery Doug? He's pretty awesome. All right. We are going to learn one of our vocabulary words today, and the word is shelter. Can you say shelter? Shelter. How many of you have heard the word shelter? Hands in the air and keep them up. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 of you have heard the word shelter. So that means there should be no one who hasn't heard the word shelter. Is that right? Okay. I would like you to put your heads together at your tables and make a prediction about what you think the word shelter means. Go, heads together.
Safe place to be that doesn't have walls that you can live in a roof. So, like when it rains, it like protects you from like rain, get wet, like also when it snows, cold or something like that. Or if it's like closed, any shelter has if it's open.
Yeah, a shelter is somewhere like birds when they build like a birdhouse, a shelter for a bird.
It's like
A house is a shelter
it's
for a
like
bird.
mansions, castles, basement, houses, apartments.
You look behind.
Something that covers but not like a jacket. Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Yellow table number 2. What was your prediction about what the word shelter means?
We did like your house, anything that can cover you or can almost cover you.
House or anything that can cover you or almost cover you. All right, let me take one more if you'd like to add on to that prediction. How about purple table number 1?
We also said like things that can keep you warm and safe.
Things that can keep you warm and safe. All right, nice work. We're going to talk about the real definition of the word shelter, and you guys were very, very close. In fact, your definition is very descriptive, and I love that you did that. A shelter is a place to live or take cover. Say that. Shelter is a place to live or take cover. Stand up at your tables. We're going to do a transition signal word today, and the word is shelter. And when we say shelter, you say shelter. A place to live, we're making a house, or take cover, like we're cold and we need to get warm. Okay, let's practice that. Shelter. Shelter, place to live or take cover. Shelter. You want to try it on your own?
Yeah.
Okay, remember you say the word, do the signal, say the word. Okay, shelter.
Shelter, a place to live or take cover.
Take cover. Shelter. Good job. We'll keep practicing it. Have a seat. Nice work. All right, you guys, today we will be practicing, and you know what? I need to write that final meaning up here. A place to live or take cover. All right, and now that we have the final meaning, is there anyone who can, for a bonus point, tell me what part of speech shelter is? Renelle. Ask your table group to help you out. Noun, good job. 10 points to orange table. Shelter is a noun. All right. Okay, so we need to talk about what our learning objective is today. The what and the why we are doing what we are doing. So today we will learn and use vocabulary in context. I would like you to put your heads together at your table and tell me what you think that means. Talk about what you think that means to you. Learn and use vocabulary in context. Heads together.
To use very good words and sentences, and like use paragraphs, and great nouns. Yeah, and great nouns and great using like correct, like grammar, like not using like incorrect good words. To use very good in describing vocabulary.
All right. Green table number 1. What did you guys talk about? Say it louder. Context clues. Okay, so we know it has something to do with context clues. Who can add on? Let's see, yellow table number 2. Your table going to help you out? What did you guys talk about?
Well, we just talked about like to use like great vocabulary.
Okay, why would it be important, Abby, to use great vocabulary?
Because like you have to like use like words to like describe what you're talking about.
To describe what you're talking about. You guys have a connection with what Desiree and Abby said? Colton, do you want to add on? Okay. Anybody else? Addison?
To be smart.
Oh, okay. So we're going to say that it's using good vocabulary. And I liked how you said that, Abby, to describe what you're talking about. That's great. Okay, here's the real question. Why do you think it's important to use good vocabulary so people know what you're talking about? Heads together.
So they can say they're already so they learn more and get lost. Yeah, or like you want if you don't be specific, that means you're gonna like you need to be like understand it every time you're saying something. They're gonna be like this, huh? And I think we already talked.
You did, okay. All right, orange table number 4. What did you guys talk about? Why is it important to use words to describe what you're talking about?
So people like understand better because you don't understand.
So if they don't understand what you're saying, is that, what would be wrong with that, Katie? So they wouldn't be able to answer you if you had a question because they didn't understand. Great. How about green table number 2?
Talk about like people can like understand you by saying having words into it, like just say I have a house, you have to like put words into it.
Verbs or adjectives to make it more descriptive. So you feel, I think that what I'm hearing you say, and do this if you think that I've got kind of the gist, is that it's important to use good, strong vocabulary so that people understand you. Yes? Okay. Great work. Okay. So that is really, really important to use good vocabulary so that people know what you are talking about. Because if they don't, it's really hard to communicate with people. There might be misunderstanding. So we use strong vocabulary so that we can communicate effectively with each other. Awesome. Okay, so what I would like you to do on the signal word is to grab your anthologies and come down to the carpet. So shelter.
Shelter.
A place to live or take cover. Shelter. Thank you for remembering to make a choice where you can be your best self and make good choices and help your fellow students be their best selves as well. All right. Right now, we are not opening our books. We're just holding them carefully and quietly in our laps, and we will use them in a minute. So remember, if we're engaged learners, we're not opening our books right now because we're not using them right now. All right. When we read non-fiction texts, what is a non-fiction text again, Bo?
It's like a real, like it can happen in real life.
It can happen in real life. Add on, Grayson.
It's like not fiction, so like it is true.
It's true. And what's the purpose usually of non-fiction texts, Katie? To give you information. Abby, add on.
I was gonna say, so like to give you like facts.
To give you facts, yes, to teach you something. All right, so many nonfiction texts tell us one main idea about a topic, right? The author gives facts and examples or supporting details to explain the main idea. And that's really how a nonfiction text is structured. There's one big main idea and then lots of facts and details that support that main idea. Also, each paragraph can have its own main idea and supporting details. I am going to read aloud to you a nonfiction text called Clever Colonies, and then guess what I'm going to do? Ask you some questions about it. So, it's not in your book. So it's just me reading aloud. Oh, because we're going to use it in a minute. But thank you. Brunel, please close your book. And you're going to listen with both ears. Okay. When I read, you're listening for my fluent reading, which means I'm reading with expression. I'm reading at a good pace. And I'm making my reading sound interesting. Everyone knows the world of bugs is fascinating, but who knew that African termites would have so much to teach us? Where might you find these amazing creatures? Scattered throughout the wilderness of Africa, termite colonies can be found standing up to 40 feet tall. If you were gliding over the ground in an airplane, you could see them scattered among the trees. In fact, trees from the region might be growing on the mounds. Scientists are studying the termite family, called a colony, and its shelter, called a mound. They've been making some unexpected discoveries about both. Now, what do these amazing structures and their builders have to show us? Well, to begin with, termite families are amazing. When a new colony starts, the king and queen work together to raise their young. When the young grow into juveniles, they become workers and start to care for the very young. When the juveniles mature, they become soldiers workers or new kings or queens. The king and queen stay together throughout their lives, which might be as long as 50 to 100 years. There can be several kings and queens in one colony. Termite mounds are also amazing. Underground, beneath the tall mound, termite nests can be up to 6 feet wide. At first, scientists thought the tall mound was there to keep the termite nest from becoming overheated. However, they discovered that the termite nest stays a constant temperature because the ground stays a constant temperature. Rather than controlling temperature, the mound above keeps the climate inside from becoming too humid. It does this by circulating air. Since the mound is always being worn away by weather, the termites add layer after layer to it each year. The climate inside is very important because it has to be just right for the termite survival. It also has to be just right for the food some termite species grow, which is fungus. As scientists keep studying termites in their homes, we learn more about how to build our own homes. Perhaps someday your home will be modeled after a termite mound. So whether a blizzard is blowing or the sun is blazing, your home will have a constant, cozy temperature inside. Addison. All right. Grayson.
Wait, what's that 40 feet thing?
What's 40 feet tall?
Yeah.
Some termite mounds can be up to 40 feet tall.
Wow.
Renelle.
So, how is this fungus? Is there different kinds of fungus?
There are different kinds of
I know there's
fungus.
foot fungus.
You know what?
I know there's foot fungus.
There is foot fungus. This is not foot fungus, though. All right, so listen, we talked about how nonfiction texts have one main idea, the big controlling theme, right? That one main idea that sort of sets the tone for the rest of the text. And then there's lots of details to support that main idea. What do you think? And I'll give you 3 seconds to find your elbow partner. 3, 2, 1. What do you think is the main idea of the whole article that I just read? Put your heads together with your elbow partner and discuss.
It's about like clever, how termites a bunch oh, now I remember. Clever colonies. There's like so many clever colonies.
How their mount is like can keep like weather exactly the same temperature.
All right, is there a group that would like to share what you both spoke about? Arcel.
It was like talking about like clever colonies.
Well, clever colonies is what? What part of the text is clever colonies?
The ants and the termites.
Is that the title of the text?
No.
It was the title of the text.
Oh, wait, yeah.
Is the title the main idea?
No.
Not usually. That main idea we need to put in the form of a sentence. We can't just have a big topic that's the main idea. We can't say the main idea is termites, because is that really true?
No.
That's the topic. What's the main idea? Addison, what did you and Harlem talk about?
You said how you can see and how you can find it, and how long they get.
How long what gets?
Termites.
How long termites get? Does anybody agree or disagree or would like to add on with that statement? Bo?
It talks about like where they live.
Say again.
Like how tall they like what do they live in or something like that.
Talks about what they live in. All right, Abby, add on.
It talks about like the facts about termites and like their mount. Their mount is everything like keeps like the exact same temperature?
Okay, so Abby says that there's really a lot of information in the text about how termite mounds stay what? The same temperature no matter what's happening outside. I'm going to read you a sentence from the first paragraph, and I'm going to see if that helps you come up with the main idea. Everyone knows the world of bugs is fascinating, but who knew that African termites would have so much to teach us? Want to put your heads together again with your elbow partner?
So ants and termites. So it talks about they're kind of both the same because so no matter what, like if it's cold and each other's really hot, their homes stay temperature. Yeah.
All right. Abby, continue on with your thought from before.
Like it talks about like these fascinating bugs and like about African termites.
All right, let me read the sentence one more time. Listen really carefully. Everyone knows the world of bugs is fascinating, but who knew that African termites would have so much to teach us? Renelle, what do you think?
That sentence.
Well, put it in your own words, my friend. There's so many different things that termites do. That is a true statement. Bo, add on.
Like where termites live and what they do.
So you guys are giving me a lot of details from the text. You're saying where they live, what they do. I am reading you the main idea of this text. Okay? Listen really carefully with your ears. Everyone knows the world of bugs is fascinating, but who knew that African termites would have so much to teach us? Addison P., what do you guys talk about in your group?
How much termites have to tell.
Is that the main idea? That's the main idea of the text. How much they have to tell? What do you guys think? Desiree? How they teach us what? What are they teaching us? What they do. What is it that they do that might be helpful to us as people, Colton F.?
How do termites teach us how to
Build homes that do what?
keep the normal area, the normal temperature?
That keep homes a normal temperature. Alex, add on. I love that you're using the word shelter. To build shelters that, and let's put yours and Colton's together. To build shelters that stay a normal temperature no matter whether it's really hot or really cold, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys agree that that's the main idea?
Yeah.
Nice work. Whoosh! That was a little bit rough getting there, but we did it. Nice job. All right, I would like you with your anthologies gently in your lap to turn and face the whiteboard because we're going to go over 2 of our vocabulary words.
My back is really big. My back is really big. Back scratcher. My back is really big. I have one of those.
All right.
I want to do back scratching.
I'll just wait until I see everyone making learning choices. Thank you, so much better. Our word is colony. Say it.
Colony.
Bo, would you read the sentence on the card, please?
Some people take trips to study a colony or large group of penguins.
A colony is a group of people or the same kind of animals living together. Have you guys ever heard this word?
Kind of.
Raise your hand if you've heard the word colony before. Arcel, do you remember how you've heard that word?
Yeah.
Can you share?
So, I can remember it because, like ant colonies.
Oh,
I
and
saw ant colony around close to the sidewalk.
And Arcel, was there a lot of ants in this ant colony or a few ants in this ant colony?
Well, I think it was just like teeny, like a lot, because it was like the ants were grouping, but they didn't have well, I don't know. I didn't see if there was a hole because the ants were blocking the thing and the hole. I think if there was a hole. And
So you couldn't see all the ants under the ground?
yeah.
Has anyone ever seen an ant colony that was above ground? Addison.
So we were on a hike and I saw this hill, and there was something moving on it. I'm like, what is that? And I was like, it's ants. So we picked up a stone and throws it at it.
So that is a good way to get those ants to move around. But listen to what you know about an ant colony, which is a group of ants that live together, right? And they are the same kind of animals, and they live together, and there's usually a lot of them. Does a colony have to be insects?
No. It can be people.
Can be people, or it can be birds. It can be other types of animals. Nice work. All right, the second word that we're going to review today, because this is a word we already have learned in science, is climate. Say climate.
Climate.
Let's see. Katie, will you read the sentence for us?
Boaters must avoid ice when exploring regions with a very cold climate.
Okay. They must avoid ice when exploring regions with a very cold climate. Who remembers what climate means? Give me some time to think about that. We studied this a while ago in science. Colton.
How hot or cold something is.
How hot or cold something is? Almost. Renelle, add on.
It's like Colton said, but climate is like the different temperatures that can there can be different temperatures at one time. One time when I was little, I saw it was first cold, burning hot, and then after 1 minute passed by, I was inside for 1 minute. I went outside. It was cold.
Okay, so climate does have something to do with temperatures. Let's look at our climate zones. Desiree, what do you think?
Places that are cold or hot.
Places that are cold or hot, just in any given day?
No, across the world.
Over time, right? And across the world. So if I lived in this climate, I would know that it would be probably fairly cold in the winters, right? If I lived in this red climate, in the tropical climate, what is my temperature most of the year, Grayson? Hot. So a climate describes the average weather in a place over time. It's different than weather. Weather is just what's happening outside right now. So climate and weather are different. That's one important thing to remember. Nice work. Okay. What I would like you to do right now is return to your desk with your anthology, and I would like you to turn to page 138 and read that. So let's transition on the word. Our word is shelter.
Shelter.
A place to live or a place to take cover. Shelter.
Nice job. Page 138, please silently read. Quickly. So would you partner read page 138 with Lily? Can you come around to the other side? Rocco, would you partner read page 138 with Zoe? You can go over to that side. You can read it silently, Grayson. Unless I've given you an assignment to partner read, you should be reading page 138 silently to yourself. What page did I ask you to read? Nice job. South Antarctica is A. What does ice do in really cold places? Good job. Empty wilderness. Good reading. Earth's. That was a word we just did. Climate. Minus 100 degrees.
Minus 100 degrees, so scientists must be careful outside. So, warm
Good job.
there.
That's our transition word for today. A place to live.
Shelter.
Good job. All right, I know a couple of you are still reading, and that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and read this aloud, and I want you to follow along with your tracking fingers so that we can access it one more time. Background: life in Antarctica. Would you like to visit the bottom of the world? The region around the South Pole in Antarctica is a frozen, empty wilderness. However, scientists from around the world live and work there in a busy colony. They study the Earth's climate. Temperatures can sink to minus 100 degrees Fahrenheit, so scientists must be careful outside the warmth of their shelter. Gliding on skis over a thick layer of snow and ice, they watch for unexpected deep cracks. One thing is certain here, though: they're unlikely to get overheated. Let's look at the photograph of the shelter and read the caption. For half of the year, sunlight at this South Pole base is constant or always shining. For the other half, it is dark. This time of extra daylight is called the midnight sun. Let me ask you a question. Did the information in that caption repeat something that was already in the text, or did it teach you something new? Desiree? Did it say anywhere in the text that you read in the background that there was a midnight sun? It taught you something new. So is that why it's really important to look at the text and graphic features in a nonfiction test? Okay, look at the picture of that big ship. Raise your hand if you see the big ship. Bow of icebreaker in ice in McMurdo Sound with Adelaide penguins walking by. So this ship, did you see how the ship is actually cutting through the ice? That's a special kind of ship that they can sail in areas where it's very, very cold. It breaks the ice. Renelle, do you have a connection?
Yeah, and I know what kind of ship it's called. Sometimes people call it the icebreaker or something else.
That's true. Okay, here is what I want you to do. Here is the question. Would you like to visit the bottom of the world? And when I say the bottom of the world, I'm talking about what place, Grayson?
The South Pole.
South Pole or Antarctica. Describe why or why not. We're going to take 4 or 5 minutes to do a quick connect. So you're going to write, and then at the bottom of the page, you get to draw an illustration of what your shelter might look like if you were visiting Antarctica. Do we have a lot of time or a little bit of time? A little bit of time. So are you going to get out crayons, or is this going to be a quick sketch?
Quick sketch.
Okay, quick sketch. You can go to a place in the classroom where you feel like you can do your best writing and sketching in the next 5 minutes. Alex, did you get one? Zoe and Lily, would you like to meet with me at the round table? Sure. All right, do you have your pencil, Zoe? All right, so we just read an article about the coldest place on Earth, right? What's it called? Not the North Pole, South Pole, or Antarctica. Can you say Antarctica?
Antarctica.
That's kind of a hard word. So the question is, we learned something in here about going to Antarctica. Is it warm or cold? It's really, really cold, right? So cold that you can't really be outside for very long, or what will happen to you?
You'll freeze.
Yes. So here's the question. Would you like to visit the bottom of the world? Tell why or why not. And if you can remember some things that we read about in the article, you can use those in your answer to explain your thinking. Okay? Then this part down here is drawing a picture of a shelter that you might build so that you could survive in Antarctica if you had to go there. Okay? Want to get started on that? Okay, go for it. Rocco, I love your printing. That's a good job. Harlem, let me ask you a question. Does this Antarctica, does this look like a place where it would be easy to play in the snow or go skiing? So it's not asking if you would like to go to a fun mountain place. It's asking, would you like to go to Antarctica? Would you like to visit there? Do you think that there would be things like playing in the snow or skiing? Why don't you reread this and see if that changes your thinking? Nice collaboration, ladies. I like that, Zoe. That's really good response. Will you draw a picture of your shelter? What would you think?
Iced coffee table.
An iced coffee table?
I finished. So there's wood. There's like a thin layer of wood on this side. Then there's like big, like kind of like big packs of snow on this side.
So I have a question for you. If you were going to build a shelter in Antarctica, do you think there would be trees available to cut down to have wood?
No, like bring your own wood.
You would have to bring your own wood.
Yeah, like when you're going from like this ship, you would bring your own supplies.
Okay, so you would bring some wood with you. Gotcha. You have about 2 more minutes to finish up your Quick Connect and your sketch. That is true. Did you reread that and then rethink your decision? I like that one. Explain to me what that is. Is that?
I'm trying to make snow.
Oh, I like it. That's what I was going to say. I thought it was a blizzard. Yes.
I made like walls of like blocks of ice because I like watched the magical boss once and like it said it like igloos can like help like keep the warm air in.
So your shelter would be made of something that is abundant.
Yeah, like the termites do.
I love that. So you could insulate your own shelter with ice. Insulation. I see that. Nice job. All right, 1 more minute. Okay, wrap it up. And 3, 2, 1. Right now, I would like you to find a different elbow partner than the one you talked with on the rug and share your shelter with that person. Talk about what it is made of and how it would keep you safe as a place to live or...
And then I would have a tunnel in my case or
Yeah, talk to Alex about your shelter. Do you have an elbow partner? Are you looking for an elbow partner? There you go.
Mine is kind of like a giant. Mine like circular.
Are we elbow partnering it in a group of 3?
No.
Who's your elbow partner?
Grayson.
Would you ask if you could be with him? Thank you for collaborating.
In the snow. If you experiment in the snow. Yes. And there would be a tunnel so I could escape like a blizzard and it blows down my house. Or like some kind of animal comes.
All right, please switch so that your other partner can have a chance to share his or her shelter so you both get a chance to talk. This looks pretty fancy. What's it made of, Lily? What did you build your shelter out of in your imagination? What do you think would be a good resource to use to build a shelter if you were in Antarctica?
Is there trees there?
I don't think so. That's a good question, though.
Ice?
Ooh, I like it. Have you ever seen a shelter constructed out of ice? What's it called? Do you know? Ooh, yours is very. Look at Ariana's drawing. It's very geometric. Okay, in 3, 2, 1. Right, please return to your desk and your textbook. And the last task that I'm going to ask you to do today is on the back of your Quick Connect. It's a tiny exit ticket, and it's just asking you to write a sentence using one or two of our new vocabulary words that we have talked about today, which are what? Shelter, colony, climate. See if you can write one sentence that uses two of those words, and let's make it a great third grade sentence. I would like to see you make one compound sentence or one good sentence that's descriptive and uses two of those words.
Wait, I have two things.
Okay.
So just only two or all three of them?
If you want to challenge yourself and use all three in one sentence, go for it.
Wait,
That's what I'm doing.
so the second thing is, does it have to like describe the meaning?
Well, usually good sentences use some context to set the scene for using those words. So you might be able to predict the meaning if you didn't know it from your sentence. Does that make sense? Okay. It's on the back.
I want to make my like maybe 4 in the same one.
Okay, well,
Shelter, colony, and climate, right?
yes, those are the three words.
Can a colony be like a group of houses in a neighborhood?
What would you think?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I didn't really get what you said.
It says write a sentence using two new vocabulary words from today. We talked about shelter and colony and climate. So can you think of a sentence that would use two of those words, Lily? Colony. Okay. What would you say? Can you tell me the sentence? Just say it to me. Colony. Okay. Is colony by itself a sentence? So how could you put that word in a sentence that was interesting?
Colony is like a big place where lots of sometimes animals, sometimes bugs live.
Okay. Do you want me to write that down? So we're using the word colony, right? Our other words that we learned today were shelter, and do you remember the last one? Climate. Nice work. Okay, so I heard you give me a great sentence using the word colony. Could you use the word shelter in that sentence too? Maybe saying a colony is a what? What's another word for home? So could you use that word instead of home? A colony is a shelter where what?
Where sometimes animals.
Where sometimes animals
And bugs.
and bugs live. Nice work. Nice job. You used both of those words in that sentence. I'm about to tell you. Can you have a seat?
Yeah.
All right. So, nice job. What I would like you to do on the signal word is to connect into the reading drawer, put your clipboards away, and have a quiet seat on the rug so that we can transition. Okay, ready? Last time today, shelter.
Shelter.
A place to live or take cover. Shelter. Nice job. You may also put your anthologies away. Edgerton, unexpected behavior can happen. Yes. Wow. That's quite a sentence.
I also told her.
Oh, you put the definition right in there. Nice job.